The anti-AI backlash is a propaganda campaign that is bought and paid for. And if you look back in history, you can see a lot of examples of this, which supports this claim very, very clearly. Any sort of breakthrough technology that disrupts a lot of different industries gets some sort of backlash, and the incumbents usually stage a propaganda campaign to derail these efforts and stop it in the tracks. And a good example is recently something came out that said trial lawyers were lobbying against EV vehicles in Tesla. If you'll notice, in a lot of these articles, they call out Tesla in the headlines for accidents, even though electric cars have technically less accidents than gas vehicles. So why would they call out Tesla and electric cars? And these trial lawyers and these personal injury lawyers, what they do is they make a lot of money off of these accidents, right? So if everybody gets an electric car, personal injury claims will go down and they will lose their golden goose. So they've been doing this for about 10 years, and this is not uncommon, like I said. So I'm going to give you a couple of different examples. I mean, you can see it with Airbnb and hotels. I have an Airbnb in Colorado. They made this new rule that basically said you can only rent out your Airbnb for 180 days. The hotels lobbied, and that basically, stopped some of the growth of Airbnb, although it's massive now and you can't really stop it. But you can also look at Blockbuster Video and streaming services. I think Blockbuster had an opportunity to get into the streaming business, but they didn't, and they were just making too much money. And I think streaming services had a really hard time getting blocked with licensing and getting talent for content and stuff like that. But look how big streaming is. If the technology is disruptive enough like AI is, it eventually is going to win in the end. So let's go over just like a few different examples over here. So electricity, they called it the war of the currents back in the day. They said it was too dangerous to have electricity in your house, and you shouldn't have electricity in your house. But I'm recording this podcast with electricity. Electricity runs in everything, and it does a lot of good in the world, but nobody really freaks out about electricity. There's safety standards, there's electricians, and we have electricity now, and nobody thinks twice about it. I mean, Edison launched a public campaign arguing that alternating current was dangerously lethal. He publicly electrocuted animals using AC and even supported its use in the first electric chair to associate AC with death. That's crazy. So then you have railroads, which is kind of interesting. So canal operators spent heavily lobbying against rail expansion. Newspapers published claims that trains traveling over 30 miles per hour would damage human organs, cause insanity, or make passengers unable to breathe properly. Could you imagine? I mean, people go 100 miles per hour on the highway all the time. I mean, some of those people are insane, I will be fair, but hey, 30 miles per hour, that's wild stuff. So automobiles and horses. Many cities imposed extremely low speed limits in Britain. The famous Red Flag Act required someone to walk ahead of early automobiles carrying a red flag to warn pedestrians and horses. Okay. You have the printing press. Printing presses were licensed, censored, and in some places banned because rulers feared losing control over information. Look at us now. We have the internet, and now we have AI. Printed books made knowledge accessible outside elite institutions. That was the reasoning. So, I mean, this is an example of it right now. It's like people are creating propaganda campaigns against AI, right? So, I mean, the printing press helped fuel the Renaissance, the Reformation, and the scientific revolution. Imagine if we didn't have the printing press and the propagandist won. And of course, Airbnb versus hotels. Hotels lobbied for restrictions on short-term rentals, arguing Airbnb operators should face the same taxes, licensing, and safety regulations as hotels. They've kind of won in that respect in a lot of different cities. People pushed back, but again, it's still massive. So, I mean, listen, every breakthrough technology follows the same script, especially something like AI that is so powerful. And there's a lot of backlash and pushback, but eventually that technology wins. And I think the same thing is kind of happening with AI. And really, the point of this is it's not always organic. I mean, you look at one of my videos, I have 350 comments, you know, and these are very angry people about AI. And I'm not saying all of them are bought and paid for, but they seem to have fallen for this propaganda that AI is bad, AI is a bubble, it's going to burst and it's going to magically go away. But the reality is it's not going to go away. It's already doing some really fantastic stuff. And yes, it is hard to prove ROI at the enterprise level. I know from experience building enterprise apps. However, I also know from experience with building enterprise apps like how excited people are in the enterprise using it and how much easier it makes things for people. And you have this big anti-AI community forming that bashes every little thing, every little sell-off in the markets, bashing its revenue. I mean, the truth of the matter, every new technology is extremely expensive to scale because there's really no infrastructure to support it. Imagine, you know, railroads, there weren't rails. Imagine automobiles, there were no roads, there were dirt roads for horses. So Airbnb, you had to scale, you know, getting people to opt into letting strangers stay at their house at scale, and they were able to do that. Uber and taxis is another one that I forgot to mention. Taxis lobbied against Uber, and Uber has won in many, many different markets. I would rather just get into an Uber. I don't remember the last time I've been in a taxi, but these are all disruptive technologies that make our lives better in certain ways. Now, when it's a disruptive technology, things change. And with AI, things change extremely fast. So my point is that when you look at this anti-AI propaganda, take a step back, you know, study history and ask yourself, why is it so fervent? Why are these politicians and people coming out attacking AI so aggressively? It's never as cut and dry as, you know, it's for your safety, right? It really isn't. It's with the politicians going back and forth with AI, it's a power struggle. One side has more control over it. The other side wants control over it. They want to mold it to do things they want to do. They don't want other people using it for stuff. So let me know what you think about this anti-AI propaganda. What really sparked this was the trial lawyers lobbying against electric vehicles. I just thought that was so interesting because electric vehicles take a lot of danger off of the road. I mean, should we as people be operating this heavy machinery that drains us, stuck in traffic at night? Some people are under the influence. If you just take that out of people's hands, then, you know, won't that make the roads safer? So what is it with AI that could make a lot of things safer, solving crime or stopping crime, that will eventually be standard in the world when AI scales? So I don't know. Let me know your thoughts. And maybe I'm crazy, but I just wanted to put that out there. Thanks for watching.